Hello and welcome to Immigration News and Views. My name is David Nachman. I'm one of the managing attorneys here at the Nachman Fawani Zimochek Law Group. And we have offices located in northern New Jersey and Midtown Manhattan. We also have an office located in Mumbai, India. That's an affiliated office. And we also have offices in affiliated offices located in Canada. So today I want to talk to you about an area of family immigration law which has to do with the simultaneous filing of an I-130 petition for an immigrant relative along with the filing of an I-485 adjustment application. And a lot of people come to us and they ask us about this procedure and how it works, and so I want to tell you a little bit about it. The first and most important thing that individuals ask us is, can you do this work on your own? And I usually tell people that you can do these types of cases on your own. It's a matter of really knowing what the documents are that you need to fill out, putting the appropriate package together, and getting it to the appropriate source at the end of the day. And the thing is that making sure the package is perfect is really important, and making sure, so it's not, and this is one of the things that we encounter, is that individuals think it's just about filling out the forms. But each one of these so-called forms, or we call them petitions or applications, require that you have supporting documentation. So the appropriate supporting documentation has to be attached to that package when it's sent into the Immigration Service. And if it's not, what will end up happening is that the case may come under additional scrutiny that ordinarily wouldn't be afforded in that case if the appropriate documentation is not attached. So for example, one of the things that we do here in our office is we ensure that the appropriate primary and secondary evidence is attached to the petitions and applications before they're sent in. So this way, when the officer receives the documentation, and by the way, I'll tell you how the documents sort of circulate to get back to the district office for the interview, but what's important to know is that the officer should be able to at least have a modicum of documents in front of him or her so that they can have a sense of who the individuals are who are coming in for that interview, that marriage case interview. So the way that it works is that you put together the I-485 with the I-130 petition, along with the appropriate other documents, which would consist, of course, of the I-864 affidavit of support document. And what you do is you would send those to the Chicago lockbox, which is the National Benefit Center. The documents then go to the Chicago lockbox, get forwarded to the National Benefit Center, where, of course, an adjudication or an initial adjudication is made. An RFE, a request for evidence, may be submitted at that point back to the individuals to request additional information. Ultimately, what happens is that those documents then find their way to the district office, and a notification, of course, is sent for the individuals to show up for an interview. Now, when the individuals go for an interview, the officer is going to be asking questions about the bona fides of the marital relationship. So when individuals, of course, the U.S. citizen and the foreign national, go to the interview, it's a good idea for them to go armed with certain documents. Those documents we've referred to before in several of the other videos we've done as the bona fides documents. Documents that demonstrate the bona fides of the marital relationship. What are those documents? Well, initially, let's say when individuals become married, if they don't have a long relationship, they could put certain types of documents together which show that the marital relationship is bona fide. So what might those documents be? Well, for example, it could be that if they bought each other rings, they might have receipts for the rings that they bought each other. It could be that if they are living together, they both have driver's license with the same address. But oftentimes the foreign national may not even have a social security number, in which case they can't apply for the driver's license. So what other types of documents might the individuals be able to get? Well, initially, one of the things you could do is, if let's say you've had some kind of a wedding party, why can't you have some cards that are sent by friends congratulating you on your wedding? Isn't that evidence of the bona fides of the marital relationship? Of course, the wedding the wedding announcement is also evidence of the bona fides of the marital relationship. How about also the marriage certificate? Of course, that's also evidence of the bona fides of the marital relationship. So right there, what we've mentioned is 4 or 5 items that you can include in your, in your initial submission of the I-130 and the 485 to help the officer get a lay of the land and to understand who you are when you show up for your interview. Now, obviously, when you go in to your interview, that interview could be anywhere between 3 to 7 months later after the filing, and so by that time you probably would be able to garner a lot more evidence of the bona fides of the marital relationship, because at that point also the foreign national should have a social security number and should be able to take care of some of the financial documents. So some of the good documentation, really solid documentation of course, might be a joint filing of a tax return and might be a joint bank account or joint checks. And these are the types of things that are good, solid bona fides documents to demonstrate the bona fides of the marital relationship. And that's the legal standard that the officer who's interviewing you is going to be looking for. Now, how can these interviews go? Well, after the officer is done interviewing you, they can either approve the case on the spot, they can deny the case on the spot, or what they can do is they can request additional information. So if they request additional information, generally what they do is they give you a form, it's called a G14 form, and on that form there should be a request specifically about the additional information that the officer is looking for. After that information is provided back to the officer, then the officer should be able to adjudicate the case. If the individual approves the case, if the officer approves the case on the spot, then what should be able to happen is that the green card, and usually that green card is granted on a conditional basis, although we've heard, unfortunately, that some of these conditional green cards are actually granted with 10-year expiration dates recently. However, you should always make sure when you receive that green card, check to make sure that it's good on a conditional basis for 2 years unless you've been married for 2 full years prior to the interview. If you've been married for 2 full years prior to the interview, when you go for your interview, then you'd be interviewing for your 10-year green card as opposed to be interviewing for your conditional green card. So I hope this information has been helpful to you with regard to the process of filing an I-130 and an I-485 and going to your interview. If you have any questions at all about marriage-based procedures, or about the filing of an I-130 and an I-485 simultaneously for your foreign national spouse, please feel free to contact me or any of the lawyers here at the NPZ Law Group. We'd be more than happy to assist you. Thanks very much for tuning in today, and we look forward to seeing you again. Bye now.